All right. Hello, hello, hello. So, what I have for y'all today is I have a series of videos I'm going to be making, hopefully today, and it's going to be covering this project that I've been trying to do called. What was interesting? It's like two projects, but I kind of carried over the name. It's called Scrapegoat, and basically the outcome of this is that I'm going to be walking through this repository right here. It's a GitHub repository. If you're unfamiliar, think of it like a folder structure where you have your folders and your files. And in these folders and files, I have these notebooks, and these notebooks, you can think of it as like a report, right? And I basically do a bunch of analysis on stuff, and I have a bunch of charts more down here. You know what I'm saying? So I have all these things, and to get that, and what that actually is, that analysis is that I've actually gone through Go for It World League all seasons 1 to 5, and I got all the replays and data from like the Excel sheets and the most recent season as well from the Discord server. And I went ahead and got that, and I had to do some pipelines to get the data, and then ultimately do this analysis, right? So that's what this project is basically. It's just everything that was involved in doing this. Originally, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this open source, just because it was a mix of. I don't think there'd be much demand. I don't think a lot of people really care or know about these things. And on the other side, uh, it would be work for me to do as well, like a little bit extra work, but just like to get this thing out there and whatever. But after talking with some people in the community, those who I've been reaching out, to a lot of people in the community and Go format server and everything, just looking for you know uh programmers really. And I came across a few, and after talking with a few of them and some data scientists as well, I came across I think one or two people that's kind of in the data field. I've kind of thought about just making this, you know, public for them. So a lot of these videos in this series is going to be really technical, right? It's going to be really technical. So that's just the upfront. It's going to be really technical, and I'm not going to water that down. So a lot of these is going to be really technical. But in the end, once I start talking about the notebooks, and again the notebooks, think about it as those reports that I was just showing. I'm going to narrate it in kind of a more layman kind of way, and the ones that I recommend for people who aren't technical. It'll probably be about the deck model, just because I think that it's going to be really important for them to know about that model, and we could talk more about what that is a bit later. But you can tell from the title what it'd be. But it'd be a notebook talking about the deck model, which is a model that I'd be using to predict the deck type from cards of replay. And then the other one would be this notebook on the actual analysis. So on the analysis. And so this one is actually going to be like the final thing of it. I got everything together, put it all together in one place, and I created this like report, just talking about each season stuff, whatever, just kind of a snippet to show the kind of content that analysis covers. We could look at the table of contents real quick. So in this table of contents of the analysis, we see here we have some, this first part, just some data preparation things, and then some more data preparation. And then once we get into some data analysis here, we're just going to do some general stuff, looking at the counts of matches and games, fun things to know, deck type match count, what's the most popular deck types, and then we're going to do I'm going to talk about win rate calculations, because there's more ways to go about calculations, especially when you have a data set with imbalanced classes. And what that means is a class, these terminologies are going to be kind of thrown around as we go throughout the videos, but class would be like a deck type being like Chaos Turbo Warriors. These deck types would be classes in this data set. All right, so just want to, I'll flesh out more of the terminology as we go through the more technical parts of the videos. But the TLDR is that, we have imbalanced samples of these classes in our data set. And that make things kind of difficult if you want to get some really good analysis and not have something where, something just obviously really biased up or down or whatever. And so there's different ways we could go about that. It starts, right from win rate calculations, and we'll talk about some of those options. I've selected an option that we'll use, and then from there on, we'll actually get to some more analysis about the War League. So more stuff about deck type match win rate, all this other stuff, non-mirror, lopsided matchups, matchup matrix. We can look at things throughout the seasons, right? So we can see how things change over time. And then we can see the some game win rates too, because I have data. Because I don't just have the replay links, right? I also have the data within those replays, right? So that allows me to see what kind of cards these players seen. It allows me to see, the result of things down to each game, right? So with all that data, we're going to be able to look at some game win rate stuff. We can see, we could try to control for factors like people going first. We could kind of control for things like pre-side or post side. And we could also look at stuff like the cards themselves, right? So cards game win rate, best and worst, going first, pre-side, post-side, etc. And then we're going to look at a specific example of looking at one deck class and doing some analysis on that, and it'd be with Chaos Turbo. So we'd look at all this stuff with Chaos Turbo, best stuff, and then we'd also look at the Warrior matchup because, as a Chaos Turbo kind of player, this is something that's interesting to me. And I think the moral of the story with showing this example and this table of contents in general is that I'm making the dataset public. All right. So if y'all want to do something similar, I kind of want y'all to just to know what you could do. I posted a code of how I do it. Right. So it's it's not comprehensive in the sense of like I have every class analysis here. I have a have a warrior analysis, whatever, etc. So this is the end goal right here. This analysis. All right. So to get to this point, a lot of pipelines had to be made, a lot of code had to be done, and that's kind of what this series is mostly going to be about. And that's everything for this video. All right. So that's the intro, and that's how it's going to go down. So I'll catch y'all in the next video where we're going to talk about, I guess, yeah, we'll talk about this part here. All right. So I'll see you in the next video.